Hey there, everyone. This is Angela Katarina, and I am making vegan pecan blueberry oatmeal muffins today. So I thought I would share. People think being vegetarian or vegan is expensive. It can be, especially if you shop, at places like Whole Foods every meal. But it can actually be really affordable. And also, we think much healthier, especially when it comes to baked goods. I also do not cook with sugar ever. I always cook with pure honey. So anyway, so here we go. I have in the bowl here 2 cups, no, it'll be 2¼ cups of white flour before it's over with. It's actually 1.5 cups in here, and I've got 3/4 cup reserved that we'll use when mixing. And then 1.5 cups of pecans, 1.5 cups of oat bran, which comes in a bag like this, 1.5 cups of Quaker oats. I like the regular old-fashioned ones because they're the big steel-cut oats. Let's see. I have about 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, about 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. We used a teaspoon of cinnamon and a teaspoon of nutmeg and about 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. And then I also use about 1.5 tablespoons, or probably 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. And the reason for the flaxseed is because we don't use eggs. So, and this does not change the flavor of your recipes at all. So even if you're not vegan, if you just don't have eggs one day, use flaxseed. It works as a binding ingredient in baked goods. It works perfectly, so your muffins won't fall apart, which is the whole point of having an egg in your baked goods. You cannot use flaxseed as an egg substitute in terms of you can't make scrambled eggs with it. You can't make omelets with it. But in baked goods or any recipes that need eggs mixed in for a binding ingredient, basically 1 tablespoon of flaxseed per an egg in a recipe. Some people like to mix it up with water and go through the whole process. I throw it in, works just the same. So that's that. For the sweetener, we're going to use bananas and also honey. So, and I find honey very hard to measure. I actually should have put it in here, so I will do that. But I used 5 bananas, sliced. You peel them, slice them, of course. And I just put them in the mixing bowl and mix them up to mash them really well. And they become this just gorgeous, pudding type liquid. And then I added my liquid ingredients in here, which is 1 tablespoon of vanilla and about 3 tablespoons of oil. I would have normally used avocado oil. I happen to be out of it, so I used olive oil. Olive oil heats a little bit higher than avocado oil does. So for baking, I would normally use an avocado oil. But olive oil works. So anyway, so that's that. So I will add the honey to this mixture. When you're using honey in a recipe, basically you use the same amount of honey as you do sugar in a recipe. Honey is very hard to measure, so I tend to dump it in, because if you ever try to measure it, you lose so much of it in the process of doing it. So when you get used to cooking with honey, you get used to it. What does change in the recipe is when you use honey for sugar, you obviously have to adjust the liquids, but this recipe will be adjusted. So anyway, I will add a cup of honey to this, and then we will add, a pint of blueberries. So in the end, we'll stir in a pint of blueberries to this mixture. Okay, so this is how we mash the bananas for the recipe. There's 3 bananas here that are cut and peeled, and then we're just going to do it with the blender. So this is a hand blender. I've got the dough hooks on it, which may not be the best. Might want to use the other ones that don't have the silicone. But we'll, so anyway, just mash them up like this. Just very easy. I'm going to turn this off because I can't hold the camera at the same time. Okay, and so then this is what the bananas look like after you mix them up with the blender. This will serve as part of the sweetener in your recipe and also part of your liquid. So when you're cooking vegan, this is a great way to get some healthy sugars in without using cane sugar or corn syrup. Okay, so I've got the honey in here. I actually probably did about 1.5 cups. Again, I don't really measure honey because I think it's a pain. But anyway, I'll mix this into the liquid, and then we'll gradually stir the liquid into this dry bowl here. Okay, so mixing real slow so the stuff doesn't spill out of the bowl. And then I have a cup of flour reserved over here to stir in towards the end if we need it. Sometimes based on the humidity where you are, you do or don't need it. So it's always good to save a little bit back. Okay, and it was good I saved that flour back because actually I didn't really use hardly any of it, just a tiny bit. So you want this basically, you want it more liquid than a cookie dough, and maybe not quite as liquid as a cake batter. So that's a good consistency there. I'm going to turn this off, and then I'm going to stir in the blueberries with a spoon so they don't get all mushy. Okay, and so here we are with the blueberries stirred in, and I always say taste the batter just to make sure it's sweet enough for you. This is so good. It's going to be really delicious. I will oil and flour the muffin tins. I like to use the big giant muffin tins, so we will bake these on 350 until you can stick a skewer in and comes out clean, basically. We'll see how long it takes. Okay, so I've got these going in the oven, and just for perspective, this makes it exactly a dozen Texas-sized muffins. So I like the big ones. We'll bake these probably about 20 minutes on 350. You would normally, if you're cooking with sugar, cook muffins probably on about 400. But anytime you're cooking with honey, you want to keep the temperature low, about 350, because otherwise the honey caramelizes. And it just has a weird taste and texture. These should be really perfect. So these will go in, and we'll check them in about 20 minutes. Okay, the timer went off at 20 minutes because I did the big muffins. I'm thinking it's going to take probably 30, but we'll see. Yeah, they look delicious, but I'm thinking 10 more. But if you had the small muffin tins, 20 would be plenty. Okay, so now we're at about 33 minutes on the oven, and these I think look absolutely perfect. Don't they look delicious? There we go.